The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
Waterbury saw its second big fire in 7 days today. A fire broke out this morning on Sylvan Avenue around 8:30 a.m. Firefighters tell us it was an occupied house, but everyone got out safely and they didn't need to make any rescues. Thank you so much for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Annette Montgomery. Fox 61 Celine Arif shares what made this fire especially challenging for crews trying to battle those flames.
The smell of smoke has filled the air on Sylvan Avenue for most of the day. You might smell that first before you see the house that was charred. Now that the fire is out, investigators are working to figure out what happened. It's not your typical house fire because this isn't a typical house. Deputy Fire Chief Kenneth Tambora calls it a hoarder situation.
The first companies tried to enter. There was a lot of debris inside the home that hampered our interior attack. We escalated to a second alarm, and we eventually were able to put the fire out.
Before those flames went out, his team had to back out of the house and fight the flames through the outside windows because of the clutter inside the house.
Hoarding situations, and that, first of all, that does impede on our progress, but secondly, it's also dangerous for our firefighters. It's easy to get disorientated, it's easy to get lost. If debris falls during the fire attack, their egress can be blocked.
It's hard to tell how bad the fire was just from looking at the home straight on.
The damage in the rear is extensive. The rear stairs did burn through, so the companies were not able to access the second floor right away. We did have to get an attic ladder to bridge that gap.
How did the fire even start in the first place? The fire marshal's office tells us it's still under investigation, but
I don't know the level of the involvement of what's happening from the crime side. I know there was talk of it, but I wasn't in any of those conversations. The only thing that I know of is I know that the marshals did call for the arson dogs.
The fire and the level of smoke shocked neighbors Robert Bell and Rashawn Peters, who live 1 block away.
It's just sad to see it's holiday time now, and what are you gonna do? You know, kids, food. It's like starting over. That's too much. I mean, I will not wish this on my worst enemy.
While they wonder what was behind a fire in their neighborhood, investigators are working to find out. It was an active scene throughout the afternoon, but for now, it's too soon to tell. We're told one firefighter did go to the hospital for an evaluation after this fire, but it was only a precautionary measure for heat exhaustion and smoke inhalation. In Waterbury, Celine Arif, Fox 61.
Yeah, Susan and I are ready to go. You'll have more
Absolutely.
details on that next week.
Governor Ned Lamont says he will run for a 3rd term next year. During a news briefing today, Lamont said he will file the paperwork to launch his campaign. A formal announcement has not yet been made, but Lamont said we can likely expect one next week. If he's reelected and serves the full 4 years, Lamont would be the first governor in modern times to serve 3 consecutive terms. John Rowland was elected 3 straight times between 1994 and 2002, but resigned in 2004. It's day 38 of the government shutdown, and at this point, the impacts have now stretched beyond just federal workers. From people who receive SNAP benefits to air travelers, millions are affected, especially today as 10% of flights have been cut at 40 major airports, and Bradley International Airport has some impacts. Fox 61's Stephen Reels is live at Bradley and has more details on how the airport cuts are impacting us locally. Stephen.
So we've already seen a lot of these cancellations happen across the country, but here at Hartford, not so much. I want you to take a look at these arrivals and departures behind me. From what we can tell, according to the Connecticut Airport Authority, the people who lead this airport at BDL, they say what you're seeing right now, this is the status quo. Those delays are normal. And even that one cancellation you see departing for Washington, I'm told by a spokesperson with the CAA, that might not even have anything to do with the government shutdown. It could be a ripple effect, but there's no telling if this was actually canceled due to these new travel restrictions that are being rolled out really over the next week. Now, we're right now on Friday, we are at 4% of that reduction, but that's going to be increasing by 2% over the next few days. So on Tuesday, we'll add another 2%, then we'll be at 6%, then it'll bump up another 2% on Thursday next week, and then it will go to 10% on Friday this week. this time next week, we will be at that 10% travel reduction. But we did get a statement from the people behind Bradley International Airport, and they told us that Bradley is not going to directly be affected by this change. The CAA says that it has not been notified that Bradley would be part of these FAA reductions. However, the airlines here do fly to many of the impacted airports, and airport leaders ask anyone who is going to have a flight in the coming days to make sure you check your flight status before you leave home and get to the airport. Because the busy airports around us, think of Newark, think of LaGuardia, think of Logan, those are going to be part of these reductions that will be impacting 40 different airports across the United States. The international flights right now, those should be relatively unaffected by these changes. We are going to be talking about the domestic flights. Those are going to be the ones most at risk. But it is going to be up to the airlines to decide what airplanes are going to be impacted by this. Now, you have United, who wants to keep their hub travel between their major airports. So think of the United hubs of Chicago to Dulles or Dulles to Houston. They want to keep those flights going as normally as possible. But really, this is going to be up to the air carriers to determine this. So while these cancellations and delays start rolling out, you do have a lot of travelers who tell me that they're just nervous that if they can get to their destination, they don't know if they'll be able to get home.
I was scared. I was nervous because I'm flying into Chicago. I was afraid that the flight would be canceled, and I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to get home.
So you have a couple of travel tips that AAA wants you to be aware of if you plan on traveling over the next few days. Big thing is make sure you're going to get notified. So that means downloading both the airline and the airport apps to get notified as soon as possible. So in case you need to pivot, you can sooner than later. Also, add an extra hour if you need to get to the airport. So make that 3 hours if you're traveling domestically or 4 hours if you're traveling internationally. And also don't be afraid to look into travel insurance. That just gives you a little extra cushion if you do end up facing these cancellations. But everything I just talked about is going to depend airline to airline, so you will need to read the fine print over the coming days. Live at Bradley International Airport, Stefan Reels, Fox 61.
Thank you, Stefan. And in other news related to the shutdown, new tonight, the USDA says it is working to make funds available to support SNAP benefits. The department sent a message to state leaders that says it plans to comply with the federal court's ruling that came down yesterday. Meantime, Connecticut is taking steps to put money onto EBT cards. Governor Lamont says SNAP recipients will see their cards loaded by early next week.
Just the constant back and forth. I thought we were going to have it fully funded 3 days ago. I thought the court said you're going to get partial funding. They can't make up their mind. We've made up our mind. We're going to take care of the people on SNAP.
And Lamont says the state will pay for SNAP out of the rainy day fund if it needs to. Well, over in New Haven, there was a pop-up pantry for families who need help putting food on their tables. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules was there while volunteers packed up 450 bags of groceries for SNAP recipients.
More than 30 people volunteered to pack bags of food for local people and families amid the delay in SNAP benefits funding.
Personally, I grew up on SNAP.
Bella Kunkel is one of those volunteers.
So it's really hitting home for me because some of my family members still use it.
The New Haven University student says being able to help the community is a full circle moment for her.
Getting the opportunity to help was just really nice.
Her roommate Amelia Karch also helped pack up the bags, which are filled with pasta, rice, bread, and milk.
So many people in just this week alone have lost access to food, which is, it's insane. And anything that I can do to help, I'm happy to do it.
Superintendent of New Haven Public Schools, Dr. Madeline Negrone, says the idea for the pop-up pantry came together quickly.
We just continue to hear anecdotes from families about how worried they are. You know, how are they going to make ends meet when they know their benefits are pretty much gone?
She says their schools serve a community that is already experiencing financial hardships.
What you see is a week's worth of planning to say, how can we at least put together efforts to bring at least 450 families a bag of food so they can at least have something for the next week or so.
Mayor Justin Elliker and other city officials joined the United Way of Greater New Haven to make this happen.
New Haven, when we face challenges, we come together, and that is clear time and time again.
Mayor Elliker says they will continue to do these pop-up pantries to support the community during this difficult time. The next pop-up pantry is scheduled for November 14th at the John Martinez School from 4 to 5:30 p.m. In New Haven, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
A 17-year-old Waterbury student was arrested today after police say they found a handgun inside of his book bag. This happened at Waterbury Career Academy. Now, we don't know what time the gun was reported, but the school went into a shelter in place while officers responded. The school district says the school resource officer quickly detained the boy. Officers arrested the student. The shelter in place was lifted, and everyone went back to class.
I never thought my school could be the school that such an incident happens. That's the unfortunate way of the world, you know.
And police tell us students they spoke to knew he had a gun on him yesterday. Right now, it's not clear what charges that student faces.